Hey, it's Marzi. I am begging you to please try to stay with me. This is very hard for me to articulate because of my recent minor stroke. It's one of several I've had. I also have brain damage from a traumatic brain injury. So if you could just try to stay with me, because I can't even articulate to you how hard it is for me to make sense, and it's been really confronting for me, for someone who's uses their language and their brain to be, losing more of that. Usually I can just adjust, but it's just been, very hard. So please just try to stick with me if you can. I'd really appreciate it. I feel very invisible at the moment, and it may just be me. I know people love me, and I know people think about me, but it's really hard when you're very isolated and you don't see anyone and you don't talk to anyone and you just don't know if anyone cares. I mean, you know, but you don't know in your heart, and it's really hard. And when you can't type, so I'd rather be writing this in an update, but I can't type. So I don't mean I can't type, I mean I can type, but it takes me like 5 hours to edit something, and it's not worth my energy. I just can't. So I'm asking you to sort of honour the fact that this takes so much of me to communicate by just watching the whole thing, even if it might seem a bit tedious at times, because I'm doing my best to make sense. So please. Okay. The fact that I'm crying is huge. I rarely cry for myself. I cry for other people. I just am not someone that cries for myself. I might cry when I'm telling you stuff, but in my life, I don't cry. I think I cry when I tell you stuff because I'm admitting stuff to myself that I don't say out loud or that I don't acknowledge. Okay, so I've had some seriously bad stuff going on. Legitimately, life-threateningly scary stuff. I'm going to put a photo up at the start of this video that is a photo I took last night when I felt literally like I was dying. No, I was trying to say, not to say literally, but I can't master my vocabulary, so I'm just going to do what I can. So I have had, I've had gastro. I mean, most of you would know that. I've had gastro for, when I say gastro, I mean going to the toilet versus the vomiting part. Although that's been happening too. Projectile vomiting. So, I've had that for probably nearly a year. I don't really like counting it. The only reason I've ever put the number on the videos is because the updates, I'm able to see how many days it's been, and it gives me a way to track it. But I don't count days. That's just the only reason I know. So I have been on laxatives for over a month, which is what the hospital prescribed for me. But I'm pretty certain that I've not passed all the blockages, despite it being the most excruciating experience. And that is saying a lot, because I have very severe pain conditions. Some of my conditions that I have alone, just them by themselves, are stuff that people are so disabled by they can't, they choose not to exist. One of my conditions, trigeminal neuralgia, is called the suicide disease colloquially, I guess, because 1 in 4 people, 26% of people who have trigeminal neuralgia, and that's usually one side of their face. So it's a pain where you get up here, there's a nerve, and it goes all into your face, into your jaw, and then it can go into your eyes, and it's just, it causes like it spreads. You get like, I can't remember the word. You get pain elsewhere. You know what I mean, probably. That by itself causes 26% of people have the diagnosis to kill themselves because they can't handle the pain. I have it on both sides of my face, which is so rare. You usually don't get it on both sides, and I didn't know this. I tried really hard not sort of looking up my illnesses, my diagnoses, since Dad died. And I think it's just I was trying to not get bogged down in it, but in not understanding it, I've really kind of underplayed how serious it is, and sort of how much help I need in terms of getting treatment and support from doctors, because I have bilateral trigeminal neuralgia. So this means I can't chew, which means I barely eat, which looking at me you would think otherwise, but I barely eat. I have one meal a day, and then I sort of have a snack with my coffee. That's it. I don't eat anything else in between. And it's just one of the things I have. At the moment, some of the most pressing things I have is a burning spine. So my spine feels like it's on fire, and my neck is constantly boiling hot to touch, front and back. I also have the choking feeling like I've got like someone strangling me, but at the bottom of my neck, and that's from the cysts I have on my thyroid. I also have a swollen thyroid, and it's interfering with my vocal cords. So my vocal cords are strained, as is the muscles or muscle or whatever at the back of my neck. And that comes and goes, which I'm concerned might be a condition that's something people with MS get, but it's also something you can get separately. So I'm not assuming I have MS. A friend who has a very similar illness profile has it, and I was a bit kind of thrown because I was like, I didn't think it was a big deal. But it's to do with your brain malfunctioning, and we all know my brain malfunctions. I'm really weak, which is understandable because I can barely eat, and then everything's being like drained out of me with taking laxatives for, my gastrointestinal stuff. I can't even remember if I've said that to you, so sorry if I'm repeating myself. So I've been taking the laxatives of the gastrointestinal blockages for over a month, and as I think I said, I've had it for probably nearly a year. I only keep track because I can see on my last YouTube video what date it was. Otherwise I don't count days or anything. But I have 7 blockages, and and it's really painful, and I've been passing a lot of blood as well as having the women's monthly situation, but almost constantly, which is not a new experience. I actually had 1 year where I had just constant, there was just no break from that time of bleeding. A whole year I bled. So that sort of thing's happening now, where I get just 3 days or something in between, and then I'll go back to bleeding. So I'm very anemic. I don't bruise, and which is frustrating, but yeah, it's just I can't show the injuries I have. I have really bad injuries, but you can't see them because it's bruised. You can just see swelling. I had a really bad fall. I have falls usually, and I sort of collapse like a puddle, but this fall was so insane that I still can't wrap my head around the damage it's done to me. So I got my foot stuck in the handle of a bag near my door, and I hurtled 2.5 meters, and I hurtled 2.5 meters, and then I landed on my hands, and my wrists were, hands were really bent backwards, and my knees, and then I skidded, and I went into shock. I did go into shock because I started sort of shaking after that for a good period of time, a couple of hours. And then when that adrenaline wore off, what I realised was it had set off all these other things, like my trigeminal neuralgia was so much worse. Like I've been dropping to the floor, screaming, holding my head, and I'm just not someone who verbalises my pain as a rule. I just don't. Yeah, unless it's like so extreme. But I can handle level 10 pain. My face doesn't change when I'm insane amounts of pain, but this is just over the top. I'm fairly certain both of my shoulders are dislocated. It might not be all the way dislocated. There might be another term for it, but I do dislocate very easily. I remember going to a chiropractor came to see me, and I said to him, like, I've got a bone dislocated in my foot, and my shoulder and my hip, and he's like, no, you don't. You don't. And I said, I do. And then he went to do it. I had 11 dislocations. My shoulder was out of the socket. My hip was out of the socket. Bone was dislocated in my foot. So it's likely I have EDS as well, which is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So that also means I don't experience dislocations like a normal person. The pain is just not the same, but this is different. I don't dislocate my left shoulder, whereas my right shoulder I used to dislocate during a netball game, and then I would like swing it round and round until I felt like it popped back in, not even knowing what I was doing because I was a kid. So that's a lot, but yeah, my spine's on fire. My neck is excruciating. I have to literally like numb my whole face, the back of my neck, the front of my neck, down here, so I'm not panicking because I feel like someone's choking me constantly with these cysts, and the strained vocal cords are excruciating to the point where, and like the back of my throat's excruciating, and it's not like a normal sore throat because it's a strained muscle or many muscles, to the point where I want to shove numbit in my face, like in my mouth, and just like swallow it so that I can numb, but obviously you can't do that. But God, do I want to. I think probably the scariest thing is I felt like I kind of hit rock bottom and then it bottomed out again. So I've been not able to sleep because of my pain, and then I've had this thing happen the last probably week or so where I've been getting really sick to the point of feeling like I'm going to die, and that is really confronting. And obviously I should be in a hospital, but I'm not in a situation where I can just go to my local hospital. They did not treat me safely. They withheld medication. They tackled me during a seizure. They ignored my nurse call buttons to the point where I look like Michael J. Fox. Unmedicated. I go full swinging because I have dystonia unmedicated, and I get it full body, so I couldn't feed myself, I couldn't drink water, and then I had to crawl to the toilet because after 2 hours they hadn't answered, and then I got yelled at for taking myself to the toilet when I literally waited 2 hours. And then I discharged myself, and I went hard at, like really hard at them, and just went, this is disgusting, you're trying to kill me, it's not okay to behave like this, you haven't medicated me, you haven't answered my nurse call buttons, and I'm going home, this is disgusting. Anyway, then it turns out I have a mass in my brain, and they've treated me like that the whole time, even though I've got a mass in my brain. The mass turned out to be something that has gone away over time. I think it was a fungal mass, but nonetheless I didn't know, so that's really disturbing. So I can't safely go to that hospital, so I have to go in under the care of a specialist, and that's complicated by the fact she's private and the hospital is public. So I'm just hoping and praying, because Mum has to go for surgery and I can't be at home by myself and I don't have anyone to look after me. So I'm in such a vulnerable position. So I'm having a lot of trouble with, since my last minor stroke, I'm having a lot of trouble with task-orientated situations. For the first time ever, I mucked up my budget. I've always been able to navigate my money situation, but my pension is decreased by the fact I got an advance to help us move house, and in doing that, obviously I've impaired myself, and I don't have enough money to exist, because I don't have enough money to exist with the full pension, which, by the way, is, if you don't know, is less than minimum wage. So it's bananas. Like, it's just not enough for a person so sick. I spend up to $400 a fortnight on medication, so you can't even imagine. There's just nothing left. It's not like I can't find a way to find money. I just can't. So I last fortnight was put in the position where I had no money left to pay for food that I'd ordered, fruit and vegetables, stuff for Mum and I, which we rely heavily on, because we don't eat a lot of, we eat, like, share one steak between us, and then I don't eat breakfast, so and I don't eat lunch, so, because I can't chew, so I had to use a card which I save for my interest-free stuff, and it's okay, it worked out, it's okay. But this fortnight, I'm again in a position where I have nothing, and I got paid yesterday, and I'm just so scared. I'm so scared about my health. I'm so scared that I'm not going to be able to afford medications that are going to come up that I don't expect. That I'm in such a vulnerable position, that I have to ask you for something I don't want to ask you for. I don't want to ask for help. I'm not ashamed of needing help, but I'm sick of having to ask. I would love it if someone else could ask for me. I don't want to. It's like I'm so sick. It's not normal for someone this sick to be the person advocating for themselves, but I don't have anyone to do that, so I'm trying to do that for me, to save my life, and that's not exaggeration. I literally mean to save my life. Okay, I'm going to cut it off there. If you stayed to the end, I love you so much. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for anyone who has ever donated anything, a cent, anything, whether it's even, like, I've had people send me quilts and stuff, which I love, and which hopefully I'll be able to take to hospital with me, and I'm just so thankful. Okay, I better go. This is a super long video. I'm not going to cut it because I can't. Yeah. Okay. Love, light, blessings, and gratitude. If you can help me, I so need it. More than ever, I need it. Okay. And if you can't, I understand. I love you.